Okay, as I mentioned last week, we're going to speak today about Magen David. I know that in English you call it the Star of David, נכון? But actually, if you translate it to Hebrew, it's called Magen is a shield, and David is David. We'll see, number one, why they call those two triangle joints, Dafka Magen David, and didn't they call it Magen Avraham, Magen Yitzhak, Magen Moshe? Why Dafka Magen David? Where is the source that they call it Dafka Magen David? We have to understand, when we see that symbol, we have to understand why is it called Magen David. If you look carefully at the copy that I make, on the right-hand side, you'll see that there is 29 Magen David. Can you see it on the right-hand side? On the left, you'll see a Magen David that it have 6 small triangles. Can you see it? And in the middle, you'll see the hexagon. Can you see it? We're going to go through it. If you go a bit down on the left-hand side, you'll see 2 triangles. One straight, one upside down. Anyone didn't receive? There's someone that didn't receive? You all have? Okay. We're going to go through them. We're going to try and explain. If you look carefully, on those 2 triangles, there's different arrows that facing up, that pointing up, and then there's another 2 arrows that actually pointing to a wide system also facing up. We're going to go, please God, through them. So first is first. We have to understand why they call it Magen David. Magen David is the Star of David, the Shield of David. So to understand that, we have to go a bit back to the history of the Jewish people, or the history of the world. In the olden days, when people used to go to war, they used to carry a shield to protect them. Because in the olden day, most of the combat that they have was very close combat. They used to use sword, they used to use all different spears, and that shield used to protect them. So the Masoret is a custom. Our sages tell us that the Masoret was that David HaMelech, King David, have a shield, and in his own private shield used to be a picture, a drawing of 2 triangles. And that's the source why they call it Magen David. Because it's his own private shield. When he used to go to war, he used to have it. Okay? Magen David. So what's so special about it? Why did David HaMelech draw on his own shield 2 triangles? We have to understand what they come to tell us. What is the triangle symbol? That's the question that we have to ask. Now that we understand where is the source for the name Magen David, we have to understand what's the secret that there is in a Magen David. There's many secrets. The time is very limited. What I've done, I try to compress as much as I can into that half an hour that we have about the Magen David. It's not enough, but I try to get to it. So if we look carefully, as I mentioned, look at your left side, these 2 triangles. Can you see it? And that's 2 triangles. There is the straight triangle, and there's 2 arrows pointing to the narrow point, right to the end of the point. Can you see it? Hazal tell us that point, actually, that triangle represents this world, the world that we live in. Olam Asiyah, this world. That it's all Homer. What it means, Homer? It's physical. Not only that, if you look carefully, how does it start? It starts wide and going very narrow. Can you see it? Why is that? So the explanation for it is that when a person comes to this world, you have a lot of imagination, a lot of expectation from the world. And when he gets older, after 120, he realized that this world actually nothing. Even if he managed to get certain things that he wanted in life, and he managed to achieve some of his expectation, some of the idea that he have. In the end, he see that it's going all to one place. He can't take it with him anywhere. If we look at the upside down triangle, that's representing the world to come. That means the spiritual world. And our Hazal tell us that if you look carefully, look how the arrow go. It's go from the narrow point to the wider point. Why? It's come to tell us something very interesting. That when a person, here we're talking about the spiritual world. Remember, when a person starts to study Torah, he starts from the narrow. At the beginning, it's not so easy. But as he goes, slowly, he starts to understand, he starts to see that the Torah is not so, we're not so narrow-minded. You know, people call us very narrow-minded people. But as he starts to understand the Torah, he sees that the Torah actually gets wider and wider. There's many things inside that we can learn. Not only that, if you look, the arrow go over the line, over the straight line, to tell us that there is no limit to the Torah. That when a person actually starts studying Torah, it's one thing. But when a person can study by himself, can understand the halachot of the Torah, not just to read halachot and say, okay, I'm obligated to wash when I wake up in the morning my hand to do netilat yadayim. He understands what's the reason behind it. Remember when we spoke about it, why we do dafka 3, and that's kind of a netilat yadayim is lesirugim. We explain why one on one hand, then we move to the left hand, we start with the left, why dafka the left. We explain all of that. When a person managed to understand the halachot, how much pleasure he gained for it. Not only that, when a person can start study by himself, his own Mishnah, his own Daf Gemara, with Mefarshim, and then to go deeper, the limit, there is no limit to the Torah. And the pleasure that he gained from it, getting wider and wider. What does it come to tell us? It's come to tell us something very important. That if we look at these two things, we can understand one very important thing, that the spiritual world, there is no limit. There is always happiness. When a person finishes shiur, how happy he is. A person go lehavdil, he go to a club, and he dance and he have a good time. When he finish the club and he come home, he actually depressed. What now? He want more. Why? Because it wasn't enough there. When a person come home after a shiur, how much pleasure the neshama gets. There is another explanation about those two triangles that I would like to explain. If we look at them, we see two different triangles, one straight, one down. It's come to tell us that one representing a male and one representing a female. So, what's so special about it? So, the commentary explained that the most important thing, that when we put these two triangles, we see beautiful picture, the Star of David. The same when a man and a woman getting married, they come under the chuppah, and they're getting married. Only then they can start creating, and they call themselves Adam. Those of you that study Daf Yomi, you know you're in Masechet Yevamot. And the Gemara, Rabbi Elazar say in the Gemara in Masechet Yevamot, you're going to get to it, to those that study Daf Yomi, in page 63, 1, Samech Gimel Amud 1, that a person, a man, not consider a man until he get married. And it's also to a woman. And where do we learn that? Where did our sages learn that? Last week, we read Parashat Bereshit. You remember? HaKadosh Baruch Hu created man and woman. You remember that? What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu say in chapter 5, verse 2? Vayevarech otam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed man and woman. That means Adam, the Hava, and Eve. What does it say? Vayikra shemam Adam. And he called them Adam. It doesn't make sense, nachon? Because Adam, who called Adam? Kadosh Baruch Hu. But here it says, Vayikra shemam, the Torah tells us that both of their name was Adam. What do we learn from here? That a person, when does he become Adam, a complete human being? Only when he gets married. That means that when we see the Star of David, when there is two triangles and they together, only then, when they together, the one facing up and the one facing down, only then they become a human being. What does it come to tell us? That although the men have different ideas, women come with different ideas. Only when they join together and they're following the spiritual life that we're going to see now with the hexagon in the middle, what does it represent? It represents the seventh dimension. We'll look at the seventh dimension now. It's come to tell us that when they live a life of Torah, only then they can create peace and harmony in their house, and it will look beautiful. Okay. If we look right on the top, now I'm referring to the Star of David right on the top, on the left top, right on the left top, we can see the Star of David, and there is number there. If you count them, you'll see 6 small triangles, and in the middle, the hexagon, and we'll see what are they trying to tell us. So if you look carefully, those 6 triangles, they're very small, and in the middle there is a big hexagon. What is that trying to tell us? So I brought one opinion, and it's the Maharal Prague. Everyone heard about the Maharal Prague? No, some not. So I'll give you a bit of idea. Who was the Maharal Prague? The Maharal Prague, first of all, his name is Rabbi Yehuda Liva. He born in Poznan, and that time was Poland. It was 499 years ago. He was one of the giants that dealt with Kabbalah Ma'asit. What is Kabbalah Ma'asit? Kabbalah Ma'asit, it's referring that he used to create, with the name of the Almighty, he created a golem. A golem is a human being that couldn't talk. He can do everything else except talking. And the story goes that he gone to by the sea in Prague there, and he draw on the sand a shape of a man. And the story tells that the main reason that he created that golem, they call him a golem, everyone knows him as the name of a golem, for the simple reason that at that time in Prague, they have a lot of anti-Semitism, and he created that golem actually to try to deal with the anti-Semitism that was in Europe in that time. That's the main reason. After that, if you read the book, if you want really an interesting book, that he told his wife once that you cannot use that golem, that human being, for personal use. The only reason that he created to help the Jewish people that was underneath a lot of stress from anti-Semitism. And one day she decided that she's going to ask that person, that human being, to go and she asked the golem to go and get fish for Shabbat. And you know what the golem done? The golem gone to the river and brought fish non-stop with buckets. And he filled up the house until almost the house flooded. So from here we see that when we create, when the Gedolim, when a person that deal with Kabbalah Ma'asit creates something that it's spiritual, you can't use it for physical. So he explained the Star of David, the Magen David, or the Shield of David, whichever way we want to call it, like this. He says, if you look carefully, there is 6 small triangles. Those 6 symbol the physicality in the world. The hexagon in the middle, the hexagon, represent the spirituality. That's referring to the 7th day, that's Shabbat. How does it work? If you look carefully, there's numbers here. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means that there is 3 before the hexagon and 3 after. How does it fit with us? Before we go on to move to our world, we have to look at ourselves. Every human being has a neshama, nachon? You agree with me? There is anyone that dispute that? No, Baruch Hashem. If the neshama go out of the house, of the body, a person gone up to heaven, nachon? The neshama go up to heaven. What does it come to tell us? That to keep us alive, we need the neshama, nachon? The Maharal Miprag say that in every physical thing in the world, there is the 7th dimension, the spiritual. That means our body is physical. To keep our body, to keep us alive in the body, we need the 7th dimension. The 7th dimension refers to the spiritual, although the body refers to the physical. Now, how does it work with us today? Every one of us, in the morning, get up, go to work, and we work for 6 days. On the 7th day, we stop. What does it come to tell us? It comes to tell us that we're trying to make geld. Some people geld, some people have car, all the physical things that we have in this life. The Maharal Miprag tells us to keep that physical with prosperity, you need the 7th dimension. That's the spirituality. How does it work? We have 3 days before Shabbat and 3 days after Shabbat. Nachon? The 3 days before Shabbat, they are Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Revi'i, Hamishi, Shishi. That means that those are the days that close to Shabbat. That means that they already have the light of Shabbat. In the middle comes Shabbat. Then we have the 3 days that after Shabbat. That means that Yom Rishon, Yom Sheni, and Yom Shlishi. That means Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. The Maharal Miprag, and most of the Mekubalim, not most, all the Mekubalim explain that the prosperity can come where? From the 7th dimension, that's the spiritual world. What it means, the spiritual world? When persons study Torah, and now we're going to get to it, why there is 2 different triangles, that one facing up, one facing down. To understand that, to tell us that the prosperity actually come from up from heaven, we have to look at those 2 triangles. The triangle that facing up, we say that representing this world. The other triangle that look upside down representing Olam Haba, the world to come. How does it work together? It's come to tell you something very interesting. When a person doing Ma'asim Tovim, that means Gemilut Hasadim, good deeds, studying Torah, helping others, immediately, if you look at the 2 arrows, they're going up to where? Up to heaven. So those good deeds go up to heaven. But when they come down, what are they bringing? A lot of prosperity to the world. That's why you see the 2 arrows also, if you look, coming from small and spreading up, to tell us that whatever we do in this world, down here on earth, reflecting up in heaven. And that's what we get, the prosperity. So if we look now so far about what we learn about the Magen David, we can see that when you look at the Magen David, it's not a symbol 2 triangle like people think. It's not just a nice star. There is a lot of mystical thing that's hiding behind it. I would like to conclude, but before I conclude, I would like to move to the right-hand side. If you look at the right-hand side, there is 29 Magen David. I'll stop. Yes?
Before you go on to that, you said you were going to tell us why it got the name Magen David.
You said.
Didn't you hear in the beginning?
I didn't hear you.
Or maybe you missed it. Okay, I'll repeat it. So Louis asked, why did we call it Magen David? So we explained that in the olden days, when they used to go to war, people used to have their own shield. Every person have a shield. David HaMelech and his own private shield, when he used to go to war, when he used to go outside to fight, what does it mean to fight? David HaMelech. From here we learn something very interesting, that the king go to war. Not like our friend the Hamas under the ground, in a tunnel, and we leading by example to tell the world, not hiding. So on his shield used to be the Star of David. He used to have the Star of David. That's why they call it the Star of David and not the Star of Abraham or Moshe. Remember I mentioned. Okay. If you look at the left-hand side, you'll see 27, Magen David, and each one of them, you can see all the Otiyot Torah. That means all the letters, the Hebrew letters. I don't know if anyone missing something. So we know that we have 25 Hebrew letters, nachon? Plus, we have another, 22 plus 5, that's Otiyot Sofiyot. What it means, Otiyot Sofiyot? That's the final letter. And they are, if you look carefully, they Mem Sofit, Nun Sofit, Tzadik Sofit, Pei Sofit, and Kaf Sofit. I'm referring to that line here. You can see them here, the last two and the last angle, that's what we call the final letters. Can you see it? Yeah. So if you look carefully, that inside the Magen David, we can see all the Otiyot HaKodesh. There is not one thing that's missing. If you look at it carefully, you can see how we try to bring it with a different color, so you can see that we make the letters in black, and the Magen David, we done it in a red, so you can see all the letters. So now when you see the Magen David, you can see how much spirituality there is in it. It's not just a symbol that many people, you see it on the necklace, and the thing is just like that. There's much more involved with that. But we don't have time, so I'm not going to continue. But maybe in Hanukkah that we come in now, we'll see how is the Magen David symbol with the menorah. Rabotai, can you imagine? 1 second, I didn't finish. The Magen David can be fit and look like the menorah. Can you imagine it here? Sorry. It doesn't look like, nachon? But the Magen David, the menorah that was in Beit HaMikdash, actually can symbol the Magen David. So if we'll have time, please God, when we start the series of Shorim about Hanukkah, I'll try to remember to do that. These few questions. Who's first? Russell.
Just one thing very quickly. When you do Bereshit, it says 6 days and then the Shabbos.
Yes.
Now you're saying 3 days, Shabbos, 3 days.
Yeah. No. I said that there's 3 days before and 3 days after Shabbat. There is 6 days that we create money. Homer. That means physical, it's money. You want to call that money a car, you want to call it a house, whatever you want to call it. But I said these 3 days before Shabbat, what are they? Revi'i, that's Wednesday. Hamishi, Shishi. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then comes Shabbat in the middle. Then we have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So we see that in the center, what is the prosperity to those 6 days? Is the Shabbat that represent the 7th dimension. What is the 7th dimension? That's the spirituality that comes to the world. The source. Remember when we done the show about Shabbat? We said that Shabbat, that's the source of our bracha. Other Russell, you ask.
Who decided to use the Magen David as the symbol of the Jewish?
David HaMelech. David HaMelech have it on his own shield. He was the first one. That's according to our...
Yes, I know you were the first one, but did someone then decide afterwards to say, okay, we'll have it?
No, but I understand your question. You're not asking why they call it Magen David.
Yes,
why did they use it? Obviously they have it. I'm sure that they have it before. Where's the source? I didn't look, I'm sorry. But you see that there's so much spiritual in it, and it's involved with such a high level of Kabbalistic thing that's talking about it. I'm sure that our sages have it before.
And have any archaeology on it? 'Cause they
Yes,
found some-
yes. A matter of fact, there's a book that called Tzofen by Rav Zamir Cohen, and that's where I took all of that. I took it from his book. I didn't ask for his permission, but I'm sure that he wouldn't mind to use it, the copy. In his book, he showed that they found in an ancient, no, it wasn't in his book, sorry, it's in a different book that I saw, that they found an ancient Magen David, actually when they dig next to the Bet HaMikdash. That's where is Har HaBayit, where it used to be Bet HaMikdash, and Har HaBayit, may it please God, we'll see it being built speedily in our days. David, yes. Yes.
That's the 6 triangles, it's the 6 days.
That's represent the what we call today is the 6 days, or it's represent anything that have to do with physicality. What is physicality? Maybe I didn't explain it. That means that everything in nature, anything in nature, have to have 16, otherwise it doesn't work. Every physical thing have to have up, down, left, right, front, back. Remember. Now if you remember when we talk about the cloud of glory, when Bnei Israel was in a wonders, we said that they have 6. You remember? That they was protected from 6 different sizes with the cloud of glory. But they have the pillar of fire in the front of them. You remember? That used to straighten the road for them. That's where come again, number 7. Any other question? Okay? We're going to say cut